The SR-71 Blackbird is one of the most remarkable achievements of aviation technology ever created by mankind. This aircraft emerged from the strategic needs of the United States during the Cold War, when information became as important a weapon as missiles and bombs. The SR-71 was not designed for combat, but rather to penetrate the world's most heavily defended areas, gather intelligence, and then leave before the enemy could react. To date, no other operational manned aircraft can match the SR-71's combination of speed, altitude, and endurance in a single platform. The SR-71's ultimate achievement lies in its ability to fly at speeds exceeding Mach 3 or more than 3 times the speed of sound. Under certain conditions, the aircraft has even been recorded exceeding Mach 3.3, making it one of the fastest aircraft ever routinely operated. At these speeds, air no longer behaves like a fluid, but more like a solid medium, generating extreme heat due to friction. The surface of the SR-71 can reach temperatures of hundreds of degrees Celsius, hot enough to cause conventional metals to lose their strength. Yet this aircraft remained capable of stable flight for hours in extremely harsh environments. In addition to its speed, the SR-71 also operated at altitudes exceeding 80,000 feet. At this altitude, most air defense systems of the time were unable to effectively reach its targets. This combination of altitude and speed made the SR-71 nearly impossible to intercept. When enemy radar detected it and attempted to lock onto its target, the standard procedure for the SR-71 crew was not to maneuver evasively, but rather to increase speed and climb higher. In its operational history, not a single SR-71 was shot down by the enemy. This feat was made possible by a radical design. Approximately 85% of the SR-71's structure was made of titanium, a lightweight, extremely strong, and heat-resistant material. In the 1960s, using titanium on such a large scale posed a major industrial challenge. The United States even had to develop special methods for processing and shaping titanium, as well as establish a secure supply chain. The use of this material allowed the SR-71 to withstand high temperatures without losing structural integrity. The uniqueness of the SR-71's design was evident even while the aircraft was on the ground. Because it was designed to expand at high temperatures, the SR-71's structure had small gaps when it was cold. As a result, the aircraft was known to leak fuel while on the ground. These leaks were not a flaw, but rather part of the design. When the aircraft reached operating speeds and temperatures, the structure expanded and the gaps naturally closed. This demonstrates the extreme design compromises made for maximum performance. The SR-71's engine was also one of the most complex ever built. The aircraft uses the Pratt & Whitney J58 engine, which operates as a unique combination of a turbojet and a ramjet. At low speeds, the engine operates like a conventional turbojet. However, once the SR-71 reaches cruise speed, most of the thrust comes from the high-speed airflow, which is controlled with incredible precision. This transition makes the J58 engine highly efficient at high speeds, but also very demanding in terms of maintenance. From a mission perspective, the SR-71 served as a strategic intelligence gatherer. The aircraft carried a variety of sophisticated sensors for photography, radar mapping, and electronic signal collection. The data collected provided a detailed picture of enemy military activity, including troop movements, facility construction, and weapons testing. This information could often be obtained in a matter of hours, far faster than other methods of its time. This speed made the SR-71 so strategically valuable. However, the SR-71's prowess came at a tremendous cost. Its maintenance was among the most expensive in military aviation history. Each SR-71 flight hour required dozens of hours of ground maintenance. Technicians had to inspect the titanium structure, high-performance engines, specialized fuel systems, and numerous sensitive sensors. There was no room for error, as even a small failure at Mach 3 could have catastrophic consequences. The SR-71's maintenance costs included a highly skilled workforce. Not every technician could handle this aircraft. They had to undergo specialized training and operate at much stricter standards than other military aircraft. Furthermore, because the SR-71 was produced in very limited quantities, spare parts were not readily available. Many components had to be custom-made or repaired, which directly increased costs. The estimated operational cost of the SR-71 was in the hundreds of thousands of US dollars per flight hour during its active life. This figure includes routine maintenance, spare parts, expert personnel, and other support costs. In today's money, the cost would be much higher. This is one of the main reasons why the SR-71 was only used for missions of utmost importance and high strategic value. The cost of a single SR-71 flight was also very high. The aircraft used a special fuel with a high flash point, designed to be stable at extreme temperatures. This fuel was more expensive and required special handling procedures. Furthermore, the SR-71 almost always refueled in the air immediately after takeoff. This was because the aircraft could not be fully refueled on the ground due to its structural design, which expands when heated. A single SR-71 mission could cost hundreds of thousands to over $1 million US dollars, depending on the duration and complexity of the operation. This cost did not include support for refueling aircraft, additional personnel, and communications and data analysis infrastructure. Each SR-71 flight was essentially a major operation involving many support elements. Despite its high cost, the SR-71 is considered well worth the benefits it provides. The information it collects often helps decision-makers at the highest levels understand the global situation more accurately. In some cases, data from the SR-71 has helped prevent misunderstandings that could trigger major conflicts. Thus, its operational costs are seen as an investment in strategic stability and security. The SR-71's crew also contributes to its operational complexity. The aircraft is flown by 2 people, a pilot and a reconnaissance systems officer. Both wear full-pressure suits similar to astronaut suits due to the extreme altitudes of operation. Training to become an SR-71 crew is highly selective and lengthy. Not all pilots are able to adapt to the aircraft's characteristics, both physically and mentally. From a safety standpoint, the SR-71 boasts numerous redundant systems, yet still demands high discipline from its crew. Decisions must be made quickly and accurately at very high speeds. This human factor also adds to the cost, as training and maintaining crew readiness require significant resources. However, the result is a very high level of safety throughout the aircraft's operational life. The SR-71 was ultimately retired not because of technological obsolescence, but rather due to changing strategic needs and advances in reconnaissance satellite systems. Satellites were able to provide extensive coverage without risk to crews, although they did not always offer the flexibility and speed of response of the SR-71. The decision to retire was also influenced by the extremely high operational costs in an era of increasingly tight defense budgets. Despite its retirement, the SR-71's legacy lives on. Many of the technologies and methods developed for this aircraft became the basis for subsequent aviation and defense projects. Research on heat-resistant materials, high-speed airflow management, and complex systems integration had a long-lasting impact on the world of engineering and science. The SR-71 also had a significant psychological effect. Its existence became a symbol of the United States' technological prowess and global reach. Adversaries knew that their territory could be monitored without effective countermeasures. This effect was often as valuable as the intelligence itself, as it influenced strategic calculations and defense policy. In modern discussions, The SR-71 is often held up as an extreme example of the relationship between cost and capability. This aircraft demonstrated that absolute superiority often requires enormous investment. However, the result was a unique capability that no other system could replace. An assessment of the SR-71 must always consider the context of its time and the strategic objectives it sought to achieve. When viewed holistically, the SR-71's prowess, its maintenance costs, and the cost of a single flight tell the story of a machine designed without compromise. No aspect was half-hearted. Every detail, from structure to operation, was aimed at supporting one primary mission: strategic reconnaissance at extreme speeds and altitudes. The SR-71 Blackbird was not just an aircraft, it was a symbol of technological audacity and human ambition to push the boundaries. The accompanying enormous cost only underscores the extraordinary nature of this achievement. To date, no other manned aircraft has been able to fully replace the SR-71. This is the reason why his name is still remembered and respected in world aviation history as a truly unrivaled legend.